We must take back the streets.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you gotta be
not
kidding.
militia.
And you take back the streets by more cops, more prisons, more physical protection for the people.
Surplus military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know anybody. They become the enemy. They're supposed to be protecting these people.
And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release.
And one of the things that we also need to be doing is fundamentally changing the way, and I've been pushing it for years, changing the way we deal with our prison system. It should be a rehabilitation system, not a punishment system.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
We're going to make sure that you're qualified for every single right you had before you went to prison if you served your time. And that means that you're entitled to Pell Grants to go to school. You're entitled to job training programs. You're entitled to housing grants. You're entitled to every federal program out there.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
We can reduce the responsibilities assigned to the police and redirect some of the funding for police into social services, mental health counseling, and affordable housing. Are you open to that kind of reform?
Yes, I propose that kind of reform. So my generic point is that...
Do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes, absolutely.
We must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society.
I promise you as president, I'll never use the military as a prop or as a private militia to violate rights of fellow citizens. That's not law and order. You don't deserve that. The country doesn't deserve that.
They are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families.
Do you believe there is systemic racism in law enforcement?
Absolutely. It's real. It's genuine. It's serious.
And liberal Democrats who used to say, let's look at the sociological underpinnings of why this occurred, and they're now saying, hey, look, we got to take back the streets.
I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness.
Richard Nixon used to talk about law and order, and the Democratic response was law and order with justice, whatever either one of those meant. I didn't think Richard Nixon knew what it meant, and I didn't think the opposition knew what it meant.
And do you support a federal ban on chokeholds?
Absolutely, positively.
Let me set the record straight on this bill. The underlying bill, which is now the Biden-Hatch bill, was the Biden bill. A guy named Biden wrote that bill. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.
You have to start off by insisting that the police departments meet a national standard of what constitutes policing that is appropriate. And all police departments are going to have to adopt it. We'll put together a commission to do that. Secondly, we have to make sure that you have police officers who, in fact, when they act inappropriately, are, in fact, not only fired, but held accountable if it's a criminal offense, and be held accountable for that offense. Thirdly, we have to, in my view, change the way the entire criminal justice system functions and the prison system. It should turn into a rehabilitation system, not into just punishment.
Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. That we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right.